Subscribe our Nehra Classes YouTube channel to watch free live training sessions and to avail the membership facilities and additional perks, click the join button. Hello everyone, I Vikas Nehra welcome you all to our session number 12 of ongoing RHCSA version 10 training. In this session, we are going to talk about the PS shell variables in Linux. All of you are aware of PS1 variable, but there are some additional PS variables that we use in Linux. What are those variables? What is the role of each one? We are going to learn in detail. So in Linux, and especially Bash, PS0, PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 are environment variables that influence how the shell interacts with the user. They control different aspects of shell prompts and output, especially during debugging. So what are those variables? What is the role of each one? How can we customize them? So we are going to test them. We are going to learn everything about them practically. So let's start the session with the first PS shell variable, that is PS0. PS0 is a known standard variable and is not typically used or supported by most shells, including Bash. It is not commonly seen in Linux environment and has no standard use case. However, in certain environments, it might have been defined to execute commands before the actual shell prompt is displayed. So what is the role of this PS0 variable? It is defined to execute commands before the actual shell prompt is displayed. So what do we call it? We call it pre-command execution prompt. PS0 is known as pre-command execution prompt. What is the default value of this variable in Linux? It is generally not set. So if you try to check the value of PS0 by running the echo $PS0 command, you will not see anything on the output. It is an unbound variable. It is currently not defined. What is the role of this PS0? Where do you see its value? It is displayed at the output line. How? Let me show you. If I execute date command, or if I execute ls command or any other command in Linux, the output starts from the beginning. In case if I want to customize the output line, I can define this variable. So there in the output line, nothing is defined already. The output is getting displayed every time right from the beginning, from the same indentation. But if we want, we can customize it and we can accordingly set the value of the PS0 variable. How? Let me show you. Let me define its value as executing at \t. \t I am including here so that I can display the time when the output is getting displayed on the screen. If I set this value, that prompt will display on the output line. But before that, let me show you whether the variable is set there or not by running the echo $PS0 command. Have a look at this. Variable is set, and if we execute the command now, this will display before the output of the command. Look at this. Executing at, and after that the current date and current time of our machine is showing up. Let me show you the execution of date command. Let me show you the execution of lsblk command. So every time this prompt will appear before the actual output of the command. So that is the role of this PS0 variable. Generally, we do not use it. If you want to make it permanent, because it is currently temporary, if you log out and re-log in back, it will not work. So how can you make it permanent? To make it permanent, you have to make an entry in the profile file. So you can mention it in the bash rc file in your home directory. Let me show you. So we have added the entry for this variable, and now to apply the changes, we can source this bash rc file. Now it will work and it has become permanent. If you log out and re-log in back and verify the same, that will keep on working. Okay, so this is how you can use PS0 environment variable in your machine. To remove it, you can unset it and you can remove the entry from the profile file. Okay, now let's move to the next PS shell variable, which is PS1. All of you are aware of PS1 variable. PS1 variable is most widely used by shells for the shell prompt. It controls how primary prompt appears. And what do we call it? We call it primary prompt string. PS1 is also known as primary prompt string. Customizing PS1 can make the shell prompt more informative and pleasing. How? Let me show you that, but before I show you the customized shell prompt, let me check the value of the PS1 variable. So by default, it will show you the output like this. This \u represents the user. After @h, it represents the host machine name. \W is for the present working directory, and this $sign is for the type of the user account. If it is a normal user, $sign will appear, and in case of the super user or the root user, you will see the £sign. Okay. Now let me show you how can you customize it. You can customize PS1 to include various details such as the time, virtual environment, etc. Let me set the PS1 variable value as \u for the user, \h for the host name, \w for the present working directory, and I want to include the current time. So for that, I'm using \t and $sign for the type of user account. Now have a look at this. Our shell prompt has changed. We have included the time here in the shell prompt. It is currently showing the time of our machine. If you want, you can use colors in PS1. So you can add colors to your prompt using NC escape sequences. What are those sequences? For red color, there is a code for red color of username and hostname. You can use this code. Similarly, for green color and directory path, you can use the other code, this one. So there are certain codes which you can easily check on internet. You can include these codes in your shell prompt while setting the PS1 variable value. How? Let me show you. Let me customize it. So this time I'm using these codes here for the colors. As soon as I press the enter key, you will see our shell prompt will become different and it will show colors there. Look at this. Username, machine hostname are displayed in red color, while the present working directory, it is getting displayed in the green color. Again, all these settings are temporary. If you want to make them permanent, you have to make an entry in the bash rc file. How? Let me show you. You can either use the vi editor or you can simply use the echo command to add the entry in the bash rc file, and after that you can source this file. So this is how you can customize the PS1 variable to customize your shell prompt. Now let's move to the next PS variable, which is PS2. PS2 controls the prompt displayed when a command is split over multiple lines. This happens when you press enter before completing the current command. So what do we call it? We call it secondary prompt string. PS2 variable is also known as secondary prompt string. The default value of PS2 is this arrow sign. But before that, let me unset PS0. Let me unset PS1 as well. Now I will change the PS1 variable again. Let's remove the time from the shell prompt. So let me change it back to the original one, the default one. Okay, now it's good. So the default value of PS2 is a greater than sign. Where do we see this greater than sign? We see this sign if we are executing a command which is split into multiple lines. How? Let me show you. Suppose I'm executing the echo command and I write here, this is a very long, and suppose there is no space available to write in this line. What can I do? To split this command into multiple parts, I can use the end of line backslash and I can press the enter key. So as soon as I press the enter key, the cursor will move in the next line, and here I can continue with my command. And here I write multi-line command. So if you will have a look at the beginning of this second line, you will see the greater than sign there. This greater than sign is getting displayed here because of PS2 variable. So what character we want to display in this line, that we can set with the help of the PS2 variable. As soon as I press the enter key, this command will execute, which is split in these two multiple lines. Have a look at this. This was a single command which was splitted in two lines, and before the beginning of the second line, we saw the greater than sign there. So how can we use some other character instead of this greater than sign? So that we can do with the help of PS2 variable. Let's change the value of this PS2 variable. This time I want that this symbol appear on the second line when a command is split into multiple lines. We have defined the value. Let's check the new value of PS2. Look at this. Now let's re-execute that command. Look at this. This time, instead of the greater than sign, 3 dots and greater than is showing up. Why? Because we have enabled it using the PS2 variable. So this is how we can use the PS2 variable. In the same way, if we execute some other command which is split into multiple lines, same characters will appear there. Look at this. PS2 only works in situations where you press enter before completing the command. You have to take a note of this. Now let's move to the next PS variable, which is PS3. PS3 is also known as select prompt string. PS3 is used in bash when the select prompt is employed. The select command creates a menu from a list of options, and PS3 specifies the prompt used to ask the user to choose an option. So with the help of this PS3 variable, we are providing a prompt to the user where the user can mention the inputs. So in order to take the input from the user, what we want to display on the screen, that we can customize with the help of this PS3 variable, and that's why it is also known as select prompt string. The default value of this variable will appear as $? If you use PS3 but you do not define it in a bash shell, so by default it will show you £sign and $? There at the prompt to take the input from the user. But if you will try to check the value of this PS3 variable, it will not show you anything because it is the unbound variable in the shell. It can only be used in the shell scripts. So the role of PS3 is there in the shell scripts. So what is a shell script? A shell script is a program which we can write and we can execute it to fulfill a task. So let me create a script first. So I'm going to create a script with the name as script.sh, and I'm using the VI editor here. All the bash shell scripts will start with shebang. We will go in the details of shell scripts when I'll teach you shell scripting. So here we are not concerned about the shell script, we are concerned about the PS3 variable. So, but I will guide you, I will tell you the basics of shell script. So whenever we write a bash shell script program, it starts with hashbang, or we call it shebang. Then we mention /bin/bash because we want that bash shell should execute this program. So to enable the interpreter of bash, we write here /bin/bash. After that, we will add a line here for the PS3 variable. So I'm going to comment that line first. So here in the very first line, I want that choose a fruit. It should appear on the shell prompt when we are trying to take the input from the user through our shell script. So this option or this prompt should display. It should be visible to the user when user is providing the input to the shell script. Currently, we do not want to enable this PS3 option. That's why we have commented this line. So I put a $sign there in the beginning. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to show you that what will happen if we do not define this variable. Now in the next line, we will give a list of the fruits and I'll create the program. So here the user can select either apple, mango, banana, orange or exit. So these are the options which we are providing to the user. After that, we are using the if loop there. If the fruit value is equal to the number, it will go back on that particular number. Otherwise, it will exit. So we are creating a condition here. So conditional statement we have passed. I'm not going in the details of the shell script program that I will cover in the upcoming time. So currently, you have to focus here on this PS3. This PS3 line is currently commented. So this is currently not enabled. Now let me save this script. This script is currently not having any execute permissions on it. So we have to add the execute permission on this script. If you will have a look on the permissions now, execute permission is there now, and we can execute the script. How can we execute the script? We will put dot and slash, and after that we can mention the file name. As soon as I press the enter key, the program will execute. Now, the script is executing and it is currently asking the user to provide the input. User can either mention 1 for apple. If he likes mango, he can press 2. If he likes banana, he can press 3. If he likes oranges, he can press 4. Or in case if he wants to exit, he can press 5. So if you will have a look at this prompt, currently pound and question mark is getting displayed there. So this is the default value of PS3 for the shell scripts. By default, this prompt will appear on the screen. Suppose user wants to select banana, he can press 3 and press enter. So the script will show the output as you selected banana. In the same way, if he likes apple, he can press 1 and press enter. Then this line will appear on the output, you selected apple. In case if he wants to exit, he can press 5 and press enter. So you selected exit will appear on the screen and the script will stop executing. So this prompt which is getting displayed here, it is showing currently a pound sign and the question mark. Now if we go back to our script and we remove this pound, now we have defined the PS3 variable in this shell script where we want to set its value as choose a fruit, and we can save the file now, and after that we can re-execute the script. Now have a look at this. Instead of that pound and question mark, PS3 value is getting displayed there on the shell prompt to take the input from the user. Here user can either select apple, so he can select 1 and press enter, press 2 for mango, press 3 for banana, press 4 for orange, and press 5 for exit. So this prompt, choose a fruit, it is getting displayed here because of PS3 variable, or we call it select prompt string. So that is the use of the PS3 variable in shell scripts in Linux. Now let's move to the next and the last PS variable, which is PS4, and we call it debugging prompt string, and it's very important. PS4 is used to customize the prompt for the shell when debugging a script with set-x. When you enable debugging with set-x, each command and its arguments are printed as they are executed. PS4 controls the prompt for those debug lines. By default, its value is a plus sign. Now let me show you where will you see this line. If you enable the shell expansion by running set-x and you execute any command, you will see a plus sign. This plus sign, especially when you execute the command, it will appear on the very first line where you mentioned the command. So it is for the command that have you entered or that have you provided to the shell. So in the beginning of that line, this plus sign will appear. So the plus sign is the default value of the PS4 variable. So if you want to debug a script with set-x, plus sign will appear there for the command that have you entered on the shell. Let me show you with another example. If I execute the date command, so for that date command, in the beginning of the line, the plus sign will appear. So instead of this plus sign, we can use anything or any string, any character, whatever we want. To do that, we have to simply set the value of the PS4 variable. Let me set the value of PS4 variable as debug. And now let's test it. So instead of plus sign, debug will appear there at the prompt in the beginning of the line. Let's execute the ls command. Have a look at this. Let's execute mkdir command. So every time before your command, the actual value of PS4 variable will appear there. Similarly, if you want to change it, suppose I want to write there trace instead of debug, I can simply change the value of PS4 variable. Now let's verify it. Look at this. It has changed now. To disable the shell expansion or debugging, you can simply use set plus x. Now we have stopped debugging. Set -o will show you all the options. Xtrace is the option. So either you can use set -x to enable it, or you can use set -o xtrace. Both are same. To disable it, you can use set +o xtrace. So this will not work. So xtrace is the option for the debugging, or if you want to use the shell expansion. So that's it from my side. If you see some other PS variables like PS5 or PS6, so there are no such variables officially recognized by Bash. If you see these type of variables somewhere, it might be a user defined variable, but it does not have a default function in Bash. Always keep in mind there are only total 5 types of these PS variables, starting from PS0 to PS4. So I've covered all these variables. If you have any questions related to these variables, you can ask me. And for this session, I'm not giving you any practice questions. So you guys can just go through the document and try all these variables at least once. So that's it from my side for this session. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.